This episode is sponsored by Unavoidable, a workshop I created for entrepreneurs who can feel that the version of them who survived the last few years is not the version meant to build what comes next. Unavoidable is a clarity and identity-based workshop, not a hustle and goal-setting training. It's designed for people who are tired of planning from exhaustion, overthinking their next move, or setting goals their nervous system can't actually hold. Inside the workshop, I guide you through clarifying a 5-year vision that feels grounded in your body, not just exciting in your head. We work at the identity level first because strategy doesn't stick if your system is still in fight or flight. I also show you how to use AI as a supportive tool for clarity and reflection, not as the star of the show. So it actually helps you access what you want instead of overwhelming you. And I also include journal prompts in the Google Doc that I provide in case you don't want to use AI. You'll also create a cinematic vision board movie that you can return to daily and build an identity-based goal framework that supports ease, focus, and follow through without burning yourself out or forcing motivation. So what you're going to walk away with is a sense of calm clarity. You already know what you're building, why it matters, and who you're becoming as you build it. And that changes how you move through your days, your work, and your decisions. And listen, you don't need to know what you want to be doing in 5 years to do this exercise, okay? What matters is that you're going to create and conjure up how you want to feel in 5 years. Because when you anchor the feeling into your body and you really get it into your system, you energetically align to that version of yourself now. And that is the way you call it in to your existence. So don't get caught up on having to know where you want to be or what you want to be doing in 5 years. You don't need to know that to do this workshop. You're going to walk away with some deep clarity regardless, because what matters is how you actually feel. So if you've been feeling scattered or stuck, or like you were sort of bracing your way through growth instead of expanding into it, this is the workshop for you. I originally ran this as a live workshop, but the replay is available now, and you can save $100 with the code FUTUREME. The link is renee.io/futureme, but the link is in the show notes, and it'll take you directly to checkout with the coupon already applied. Welcome to Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, where we blend rock-solid tips with a little bit of magic. I'm Renee Bowen, your host, life and business coach, and professional photographer at your service. We are all about getting creative, diving into your business, and playing with manifestation over here. So, are you ready to get inspired and have some fun? Let's dive in. Hey, welcome back to Tried and True with a Dash of Woo, where science meets soul and strategy finally gets to feel good. I'm your host, Renee Bowen. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite things to unpack, the moment when logic meets magic. Okay, so you've heard people say it's all energy, or you just need to align to your vibration. And maybe part of you thinks, okay, I'm on board, but how? Or maybe you've tried the vision boards, the affirmations, the full moon rituals, and you're wondering why nothing seems to land for you. But here's the thing. What we call woo is just really science that we don't fully have language for yet. And once you understand what's happening in your brain and your body, the magic stops feeling like a mystery and it really becomes a method that you can use over and over again. All right, so grab your coffee, your journal, or maybe let's go on a walk. Take me there now. Let's get into why the woo is actually the work. First, I'm going to break down why the woo gets a bad rap. Okay, so I wanted to start here because this has really become a shorthand for anything that feels intangible, the woo-woo stuff, right? Okay, energy, intuition, astrology, manifestation, human design, the list goes on. And if you grew up like me, in a world that prized logic and proof and productivity, anything unseen probably got labeled as fluff. But here's what's wild. The same people who dismiss intuition will gladly talk about gut instincts, okay, in a business meeting, or flow state in sports, athletics. Those are woo concepts, but just dressed in a lab coat so that it sounds professional and logical to our brains, because our brains really just want patterns. They look for meaning. That's just really what they are, meaning making machines at the end of the day. Okay. The subconscious doesn't speak English. It speaks through imagery and emotion, repetition, and energy. So when you visualize, meditate, speak affirmations, or pull a tarot card, you're simply using symbolic language to talk to your subconscious mind, the part that's running about 95% of your life. So let's make this practical. When you imagine a future event vividly, your brain fires in the same pattern as if you were actually living it, because your unconscious mind doesn't know what you're telling it hasn't actually happened yet. That means when you feel the energy of your desired reality, you are training your nervous system to recognize safety in that experience. This is what's really happening when people talk about manifestation. Okay. Your reticular activating system, I've spoken about this a lot, which is your brain's filter for what information you notice, starts to prioritize anything that matches the picture you've been feeding it. It's looking for it. It's not mystical, it's literally mechanical. But here's the kicker. The nervous system is always going to choose familiar over ideal, okay? Because that's what feels safe. We literally will do anything, humans just in general. This is the way we're wired. We want to do more to avoid pain than seek pleasure. So if success, rest, or visibility still feels like unsafe or foreign to you, you'll unconsciously sabotage them, not because you're broken, not because something's wrong with you, but because your body hasn't learned that these things are safe. This is what your conscious mind wants. There's a disconnect between the conscious and the unconscious mind. That's why nervous system regulation, hypnosis, NLP, trauma-informed coaching, that's why all of this matters so much, because they teach your body what safety actually feels like so that your brain can finally stop fighting your vision of what you really want. But let's also talk a little bit about frequency, because energy isn't just a metaphor. It's really important in this whole process. Every thought creates an electrical impulse in your brain. Every emotion carries a measurable vibration, vibes, frequency. That's just packaged in a metaphysical terms. Okay. But this is really neuroscience. When you shift from anxiety to gratitude, for instance, you are literally changing your body's electromagnetic field. It's measurable by heart coherence studies. So when I say energy alignment, I'm not asking you to fake positivity and like just gaslight yourself. I'm talking about resonance. Your nervous system and your energy field are in constant conversation. If you say something like, I'm really ready for abundance, but your body still feels fear, guilt, or shame, those frequencies don't match. Okay, so this work is really about integration, not bypass. You can't just visualize your way out of trauma. You really do have to feel safe enough to receive what you're asking for. And we also forget that we're not just like living up here in our heads and our brains, right? We're attached to a body. Okay. So many of us just sort of like deny or diminish our bodies, that we live in our bodies and we're holding all of this in our body. Okay. Like if you've ever read the book, The Body Keeps the Score, you know what I'm talking about. Back in the day, some of you guys know this. I used to be a massage therapist and I went to a very woo-woo massage therapy school. It was very much about this mind-body connection and how we're a whole person, right? We're souls living in a physical body, eternal beings walking around in a meat suit. And sometimes we need to be reminded of that. When I was in massage therapy school, part of being in that environment means you are constantly having body work done. Okay. So we practice on each other. That's how you learn how to be a massage therapist. And I didn't really think anything of it. I knew that I was going to explore this connection that I was very interested in because, I have a degree in psychology. So I've always been on board with this idea of our bodies and our minds, our communicate, right? and how can we integrate them together? But I wasn't really ready for all of the programming and trauma that was going to come out as a result of me getting constant body work done. I literally couldn't hold it in anymore. Like I became kind of a blubbering mess. I mean, like, honestly, like there was a minute there where I was a little concerned about myself because I never identified as a super emotional person. I didn't cry a ton. I wore this sort of like um, emotional dysregulation as a badge of honor. Okay. There was a lot of reasons for that. But when I was younger, I really prioritized that. Oh, I can handle anything. I'm tough, right? Like really living in my masculine, pushing down my emotions. But where was I pushing them down? In my body. And my body was starting to hold all of this. I mean, I was really young. So, like, I wasn't seeing anything like disease, pain, inflammation showing up. But, the older you get, the more you live in your body, the more that stuff is going to come out in all of those different ways. But the way that it like hit me one day because I'd been having constant body work and we had to learn about all the systems in the body, right? There was a lot of anatomy that we learned about. And there was also, we needed to learn how to massage every part of the body. And one of those was the stomach. And I was like, what the hell? Why would I ever let anyone massage my stomach? Right. So that was where I was holding everything. Guys, shockingly, your little anxiety girly was holding all that anxiety and sadness and grief and all kinds of stuff in my stomach. And it was showing up. It was showing up in some different ways. But again, I was just like pushing that all to the side. When I started getting that part of my body massaged, your intestines, like there's a pattern to how the food moves through your stomach. And so when you are trained in stomach massage, you need to go with that pattern to help digestion. You don't want to go opposite of that, right? You want the energy to flow where it's supposed to go. And so there's certain things you can do as a massage therapist to help someone who's dealing with any issues with that. Plus, everything is connected. It's not just your stomach, okay? Your stomach we know that the core is really connected to the muscles in the back and vice versa. So if you've got a lot of back problems, you've got some core issues, that kind of stuff, right? Like it's equal parts. So all that to say, I started processing a lot without a therapist at the time because I was living in LA and didn't have a therapist during the time that I was going through all of my massage therapy training. So my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, got the brunt of it, which had to be crazy. Like I really felt like I was losing my mind. But it really needed to happen. It gave me so much perspective and it taught me so much compassion as well for people who are also going through something similar to that. And this is sort of what I mean by, feeling safe enough to receive, clearing that stuff out, literally clearing that energy out of your body, getting it out of your body, allowing it to come up and out in a safe way. Highly don't recommend just like throwing yourself into massage therapy school for that. But there are practitioners who do this kind of work now, somatic work. It was actually something I wanted to do early on before anybody was really talking about somatic work. And I recently had an amazing session with a friend of mine. She's now a friend of mine. She's in the Mixer Mind with me. I've been involved in the Mixer Mind this past year. And she is a member of the Mixer Mind. And when I was in Mexico at the retreat, her name is Ruth. She did a session with me when we were in Mexico. I signed up for it. I was like, you know what? I'm not 100% sure what this is about, but I kind of feel like I kind of know because she's also a massage therapist in training. She also has a degree in psychology. Like we have a lot of things in common. And she's sort of like this body alchemist. And it's super, super intuitive. She's a reflector in human design. So if you know anything about human design, they're very rare. And she's just like this magical person. She's literally like just this light. And And I was like, I just have to do this. I just felt compelled, like, I'm going to follow my gut. I'm going to do it. So I signed up for a session. She only had like a couple spots left. So I grabbed one, and it was the last day before, like, it was the day I left, actually. It was the morning of the day that I flew out. And I didn't really know what to expect, but I went in on board. I went into it saying, I'm going to commit to this, whatever it is, I'm just going to show up. And I had done, like, again, like, I'm in my 50s. I've had a lot of therapy. I have had a lot of body work. This was very different. And I'm still integrating a lot of the stuff that sort of, showed up during that session. I cried for basically an hour, but in a very healing way. Like, so much needed to come up and out. And this is kind of what I'm talking about when I talk to my coaching students about, you need to make space for what you want. What are you calling in? Like, you might say that you're calling something in. Like I just said a few minutes ago, I'm ready for more abundance. I want more money in my life. I want to charge more, whatever it is, like, especially when it's related to money, right? You might say that consciously, but what is your body still holding on to? Okay. You might have even worked through a lot of this stuff in therapy or with a coach or on your own. But if you haven't really integrated it and really allowed your body to make space energetically, you won't have any room, right? If you're like walking around processing trauma constantly, or you're living in a fight or flight state all the time, you don't have the space for anything that you want to drop in. So this is a really big piece of it. Okay. And that's a lot of what I teach inside of coaching. I'm not doing body work on you, but we do this work of bridging the energetic with the embodied. Okay. So that your actions finally land and you actually are on board with what you're calling in. You have the space for it and you welcome it. So let's talk for a second about turning this woo into a practice, because this is where the rubber meets the road, right? You don't need to sit on a mountain for enlightenment. You just need consistency and awareness. So I want you to try these 4 things. Regulate first before you create, before you post, before you pitch. Take 60 seconds. I'm literally asking you for a minute of your time to just breathe. Like, most of us just don't breathe deeply enough. Breathe and anchor safety into your body. Let your body know that she is safe right now. Okay. And then the second part is that you visualize it with a feeling, because affirmations alone don't work. Let those senses build the image until your brain believes it's real. Again, your unconscious mind is going to believe anything you tell it. So if you tell it you're not good enough, it's going to believe that. But if you tell it that you are worthy, and if you really paint that picture of abundance with beautiful colors and give it so much feeling so that you can actually smell the smells around you. And I mean, like, use all your senses to do this. That's going to anchor it in to your body. Number 3 is you need to act as proof. Okay. So then take aligned micro actions from that regulated state. Okay. You can't just think about it. You got to be about it. That's what Beyonce says. You got to listen. It's true. You got to take these little tiny micro actions, take some steps in the direction of that. Okay. That's how you actually get there. And again, you don't have to take the whole road right away, but what's the next right step? And then the 4th one is to reflect. So I want you to notice what feels expansive versus constrictive, because that's your nervous system giving you data. A lot of people just like gloss over it though, or don't notice those whispers. And sometimes they're very quiet. So give yourself the space to reflect, to notice what is coming up for you. When you do things like this over and over again, repetitively, you collapse the gap between thinking differently and being different. Okay, that's neuroplasticity, by the way. The brain's ability to rewire through repetition and emotional intensity. You have the power to do this, and you've had it all along. So no, the woo isn't optional fluff. It's the operating system upgrade that your brain has probably been craving if you're listening to this episode anyway. You're probably either doing this work or you want to figure out a way to do it. Or maybe you're just trying to make sense of all of this manifestation verbiage you keep seeing on the internet. And just as a side note, for those of you who are already on board with all the woo stuff and realizing that it is neuroscience, you guys know we're not going back, right? We're not going back in the closet, so to speak, of putting our heads in the sand and pretending that we don't know all of this. So what's the next step? Where are we headed from here? I really believe that we are about to embark on an incredible renaissance. And it may not happen like right this second, but over the next several years and maybe even hundreds of years, we are headed into a very interesting time in history. And those of you who are on board with this, who are maybe working in, neuroscience, coaching, well-being, holistic, all of that stuff, you guys are, we're light workers. We are. I mean, that word's been thrown around a lot. I know it kind of sounds weird and super woo, but I think it's really true. I think that if you feel called to do this kind of work, even if it means, just doing the kind of work for yourself personally, or as well as maybe working with other people in that capacity, I believe that there's a reason why you're drawn to it. There really is. So now is not the time to deny that in yourself, because you're going to be really well supported. There's a lot of us. And I really believe that building that community is very important. We're going to need each other. And okay, so for my logic-loving listeners, you don't have to abandon science to embrace spirituality. Okay. The quantum field is not a fairy tale. It's physics. It really is. And energy follows intention because attention changes matter. We know that. That's why prayer, meditation, visualization, they all create measurable shifts in the body. We know this now. Again, we're not going back. We know this information. So you can keep your spreadsheets and still believe in signs from the universe. That's the duality I live every day. Trauma-informed psychology meets weird mysticism stuff, astrology, human design, tarot. I'm interested in all that kind of stuff. But the woo is not the opposite of logic. I really feel like it's logic expanded. It adds to it. So if you've ever rolled your eyes at good vibes only posts, I mean, I get it. Okay, I get it. Me too. But the real work isn't really about pretending that everything is fine. Okay, it's about learning how to feel safe enough to expand and to regulate, to receive and to create from an aligned space. It's all about self-awareness. So if this conversation hit home to you, I want you to go deeper, whether that be on your own or with me. But I also am signing up one-on-one clients for 2026. That is where I'm going to be investing a lot of my time, is with my one-on-one containers. You can do a minimum of 3 months. I also do 6 months. Some people I've been working with for, a couple of years. So I don't really want you to have to need me forever. That's the thing. But I do want you to get the level of support that you are looking for. And again, this is for people who either way want to go deep. I'm not doing surface level stuff with you here. This is for people who are ready to go there and who are willing to do the uncomfortable work, right? Because that's what this is about. That's what growth is about. So if that speaks to you, hit me up. The link's below. Book a call. We can chat for free. And I'll let you know whether I think you're a good fit or not for whatever program it is that you're looking into. And you can ask me any questions that you want. And if you love this episode, share it with somebody who's ready to stop dismissing the woo, or who's ready to embrace it. So until next time, keep showing up with curiosity, with courage, because the version of you who already has everything that she wants is not just waiting out there in the future. She's literally there. She's here. She's accessible to you right now, because you wouldn't have had that vision if she didn't exist. because time doesn't exist. Okay. You have this version of you is already doing it. She's living the life that you want. She's open. She's expanding. She's regulating. She's making a lot of money. She's having deeply, deeply, deeply enriching relationships. She's accessible to you, and she's trying to get you on board to get there now. It's all resonance, it's all energy, and it's all neuroscience. Have a great rest of your week. Love you. Bye.